I'm muted. Hello, everybody, and welcome to EXO Live. Sorry, I was muted there. A bit of a mistake. But today we have Clarence Tan, who is going to be speaking to us from Australia. And you can see on the screen some of the amazing people we have all the way up until March this year. And before we get into the discussion with Clarence, as usual, I'm going to just go through a few testimonials that I got from folks in the community about Clarence. And so the first one comes from Ralph Fletcher, and he just says, Clarence is a legend of the EXO community. He is a highly intelligent and very funny human. Great comedians always have high intellect. Clarence is so much more than that. He is also a go-getter. He traveled around the world to be part of the first Africa Tech Week, networking and impressed the delegates with his insights and business acumen. Send my regards to him from all of us here in South Africa. Next, we have from Eliane. Clarence is an inspirational example of someone living their purpose as much and as varied as possible. He naturally inspires people with his easygoing yet super creative and smart ideas to make people laugh in the process. He is a great collaborator and mentor. Next is Vishal, who just says, Dr. Tan has been a great mentor for me. His wisdom, compassion, kindness, and his NTP to seek, share, and apply knowledge to progress humanity has inspired me to look at the future with an exponential lens. He is also a great thought leader. From Jabeen, she says, Dr. Clarence Tan is one of those change makers that leaves you in awe of his versatility, knowledge, and background in multiple domains across sectors. Despite his awe-inspiring expertise and accomplishment, he is the most down-to-earth, young at heart, caring, generous, and personable person you could ever hope to meet. He is a long-time OpenExO member, and I've always enjoyed every interaction with him, always learning something new from his pushing the boundaries of what's possible for himself and others. To top it all off, he has the most remarkable sense of humor that will leave you rolling on the floor with laughter. Great medicine for these surreal times. And then lastly, from Salim, Clarence is the most hacker person I know in a very good way. He has a truly exponential mind and is a very gracious investor in our ecosystem. We truly appreciate you. So these are some of the messages from the community. There were far too many to put up. So Clarence, welcome to OpenExO Live. Great to have you. How are you doing there in sunny Australia?
An honor to be on here. Where I live in Queensland, particularly in the Gold Coast, we have been very lucky. We've been spared, but we also gone through pretty tough measures, as you can imagine. The interstate borders are closed. If there's like even a mild sniff of any COVID issues, the whole state gets locked down. The borders get locked down, but we have pretty much a lot of freedom to move around and so on. As you can see, it's very sunny here and the blue sky. That might be part of the reason because the UV rays are very high and a lot of activities are outdoor activities here. So we've been very lucky, I must say.
Absolutely. So Clarence, we always start off asking people your story. So give us a bit of information about your background and how you came to join this, the OpenExO community.
Okay, yeah. So I'm from Malaysia originally. I left Malaysia and studied in America when I was 17. Went to USC and did my electrical engineering degree, and then was one of the youngest in the MBA program, which they allowed me to do only if I didn't, without experience, by doing an MBA and an MS in industrial system engineering in robotics and human computer interface, and ended up in Wall Street in the late 80s. So I'm dating myself now. Where greed was good. And that really, I was with a major investment bank in New York, Hong Kong, and then back in Malaysia. was a bit disillusioned with the whole industry, a very dark side of the industry. You make a lot of money for yourself in the bank, but I was asking myself, what am I doing for the people? I felt the guy sweeping the floor was actually doing more service than I was. I was just shifting money around, putting some in my pocket. I was a manager at the trading desk for foreign exchange. But that also kind of led me into looking at artificial intelligence, which is a passion of mine even at university, which is very early days then, because the best traders in the world were not graduates, particularly in Asia. They were people that worked from the line, taking prizes day in, day out. And I felt it was some kind of pattern recognition. And essentially, artificial intelligence those days were expert systems. You need to know the rules, and then if this, then that, right? But the problem in pattern recognition type of tasks, it is very difficult to be able to extract the rules, because there may be no rules, right? So intuition is like, oh, I got this gut feel, and it's been shown that now you've got more neurons connected to your gut than required for managing your food processing component. So there's some truth to gut feel, perhaps. But I felt that it was perhaps, some kind of a subtle recognition of patterns. And that's what led me to neural networks, because in artificial neural networks, you know what the output is, what the traders do. You know what the input is. They're looking at the prices, but you don't know what the rules are. And the net can build that up. So I'm trying to model, if you like, the brain of a trader. And that's what led me to leave the bank and went to Australia, did my PhD in artificial neural network applications in finance, which I wrote a book, 14 years ago. And that led me to, I became the associate dean of the university that I went to, did my PhD. And then I was appointed the entrepreneur residence fellow for the Gold Coast for Queensland government for both the universities here. And that led me to basically run a pitching competition, and also a co-founder of the first angel investment group in Australia, which is the Gold Coast Angels. And we used a software called Gust, which was Angel List then. And David Rose, the founder, was a faculty at Singularity. And he said I could use a one-time video of his lecture at Singularity University. I've never heard of Singularity University in my life. Watched his video, was blown away, thought I would apply to it, the application was pretty tough. You basically have to make a 2-minute video and so on. I didn't have time. All I did was this in Uluru, and I didn't think that I would get in. And I got in, and then I decided I was too old to go. And they said, no, you got to come. And that's where I met Salim. So cutting a long story short, so Salim and I are firm friends. And, he was then running the whole ambassador program at Singularity. So when I finished the program at Singularity, became the Asia Pacific ambassador for Singularity University, ran like 4 of the global competitions in Australia and Malaysia. And then things changed at Singularity, and Salim started EXO, EXO Foundation, and then now it's OpenExO. And I've been with Salim since, because I feel it's a more sustainable model where all the community members get to benefit from it. Singularity at the point in my life was, I felt the best way to achieve my MTP of progressing humanity. But then, when it became from a nonprofit into a benefit corporation, and now with Boeing being the largest shareholder and so on, I think things have changed a bit. And I felt that, Salim's model is a better one, where members of the community can actually benefit sustainably. So that the long story is how I got involved in the OpenExO movement.
Awesome. It's always good to understand where a person's coming from. And now you mentioned your MTP there shortly, and Vishal also spoke about it. But maybe if you can just remind us of that MTP and how it shaped what you're working on now.
Yes. So my MTP is seek, share, and apply knowledge to progress humanity. As I mentioned to you, the area of expertise that I have acquired at university was, or even, when I was at the bank, was essentially applying neural networks applications to finance. But then basically, it was a narrow field. But the methodology that I used to predict the time series for financial crashes could also be applied to predicting myocardial infarction, heart attacks. Because before a market crash, and before you have a heart attack, it gives out signals. Obviously, those two are highly correlated, but um, but if you know Alive Technology, the founder of Alive Technology actually lives on the Gold Coast, Bruce Satchwell. He and I had a grant from the Australian government where we were trying to use my neural networks to be able to predict heart attack from EKG readings. So that's where it opened up my mind that there's no point of me having all this knowledge. If I share it with other people, somebody might pick it up and be able to make something useful out of it. So when I was teaching AI, I had a student, a graduate from Juilliard, that was then trying to use neural net to finish the composition of music of composers that have passed on. So it was interesting. It's a field that I'm not that familiar with in the music in the music area, but he is, and he's able to use that. And that's where I basically that's where the seeking the knowledge is a natural passion of mine. I'm always trying to learn new things. Sharing it, is the other big thing, and then obviously then to apply it. So even though I may not be able to apply it myself, but if somebody that listened to my talks or took my class, basically could use it, then I feel that I have progressed humanity a little bit further. So and the 3 projects I'm working on, obviously trying to help OpenExO improve their visibility. I was a keynote speaker at a number of conferences just before the lockdown. Actually, I was at the APEC conference in China, and I was actually in Wuhan just before Christmas in 2019. But the things you do for OpenExO, no. Anyway, just like I guess Kevin traveling around the world, improving the visibility of the movement. So that's one, and then the second project is EPIC, which is a partner with OpenExO. EPIC stands for Exponential Positive Impact Capital, and the MTP for that is Accelerating Impact by Democratizing Investments. So as I mentioned to you, I've been an angel investor for a number of years, and I found that the problem we have at the moment with the current investment model is that people take equity, and it's high risk for the investor. Every penny that the founder spends kind of hurt the pocket of the investor until they see a return. And also the valuation, which is basically, just a number that you pick from the air, right? Because all the founder has is an idea, and then you put $10 million valuation, the investor will say, no, I think it's worth less than 1 million, and there's no deal. So we decided to go down the pathway of creating a platform that basically invests in a revenue sharing model for social impact projects. So we had 3 criteria there. You have to be near at revenue. You have to do good. So you want to make sure you meet at least one of the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And thirdly, obviously, your margin got to be high enough. And it's still risk capital, and or you're an EXO company. And it's still risk capital. So we are looking to return 5 times return within 5 years, or an IRR of 38%. And the last project is in Bangkok, in Thailand, where my co-founder and I, we started a company called gogotech.co, where our MTP is creating an inclusive society until everybody can walk. It's a smart, portable, affordable wheelchair. So it's a motorized wheelchair that will cost less than your iPhone, $2,000 US. And you basically have the smarts to be able to follow a line by itself. So you imagine a disabled person could be holding a baby or a laundry basket at home, and you just follow a line by itself. It's autonomous. It's got a lot of you can summon it from your phone. A number of features. So those are the 3 major projects I'm working on at the moment.
Awesome, and I've had the privilege of seeing the company in Bangkok when I was there in 2019.
That's right.
And got to ride in the wheelchair, which was pretty cool. So thanks for organizing that. So you mentioned the SDGs. Which one would you say you're most passionate about?
I'm passionate about, and also I think critical for all the other SDGs to work. I look at all of them, right? Education, equality, and so on, health, but without eliminating poverty, none of the others could actually run. So I think that's the most important, creating wealth of eliminating poverty. And this is why EPIC is so important, that we want successes on the investment of positive projects. Even if we fail, at least we push the bar towards progressing humanity a little bit forward. And this is why I'm an investor in OpenExO too, because I believe in what Salim is doing, and the community as a whole. I mean, meeting people like yourself and Jabin and Yaroslav, and Francisco was my classmate at Singularity. So it's been an amazing journey. And remember our first I think EXO community meeting was in Toronto. That's where I first met Kent and Jabin, and essentially 85% of the community members then were ex-Singularity students. And those days at Singularity University, anybody you met, that they were there not to just, they weren't there to make money. They were there to try and change the world, creating positive impact, impacting 1 billion people within 10 years. There was this trust that, the bond. And I think that carries on now into the OpenExO community, that we want to transform the world for a better future. So anybody you talk to in the community, we share the same ideals. And
absolutely. And Michelle has just asked a question here, which says, what are your thoughts about using tokens instead of money in the future? Tokens that are created by a community.
Well, I mean, money is, what is money, right? I mean, is also a construct, isn't it? It's just paper, except that it's backed by nuclear weapons of certain countries. So, you can't go print your own money, you get arrested. But I think, the decentralization of the DeFi movement and so on, obviously are creating impact on it. It is, I think, in creating a world of abundance, the need for money, is kind of changing the value of the money itself, right? So I think in a way it's already happening, right? I mean, the Chinese are already digitizing the yuan. So soon, you will not see paper currency anymore. I mean, whether you call it a token or a digital currency, it's basically representing value that people need to trust it, right? So that's the key thing. And that's why the whole blockchain technology part of it, where you kind of eliminate the need for a trusted mediator, because you are able to essentially do transactions by trusting the technology itself. Then the question is is the technology trustworthy, right? So those are the things that, again, we don't have all the solutions right now, but I'm sure we're working towards it. And obviously you got quantum computing coming, right? And you guys got to be aware that, if quantum computers take off, most of the encryption will be gone, so there'll be no privacy. But then there are people working on quantum resistant cryptography. So, and it continues, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's one thing that is for sure, and that's that we're not going to suddenly stop technological advancement, right? It will continue, and what we need to ensure is that it continues for the betterment of humanity, our planet, and that we continue on. Now, one of the attributes that I'm really I think is extremely important, of course, is the community and crowd attribute. And so I'd just like to get your opinion on do you have examples where you think that the community and crowd attribute has really been used extremely well?
Yeah, I can give you a good example, and also, the revenue share model that that we came up with for Epic. It all came from a very successful investment that I had in investing into a computer game, actually, called The Forest. It's on Steam. I don't know whether you guys play the game. I actually don't. But it returns anywhere from 25% to 200% return on my original investment per month for the last 7 years, right? And COVID, it's an unfortunate incident, but it has been very fortunate for the sales of this game. There's no online purchase and so on. But just to give an example, The Forest is basically a computer game that about a survival game about plane crash, and you got to survive these mutants on an island. And this game, I think I invested in it back in 2013. After the GFC, nobody wanted to put money in the game. So me and a few guys put some money in the game. And then April 2014, we had a con call with the game creators. and essentially said, "Where are you guys? You're 18 months overdue for the game release." And they said, "Oh, we're up." These are two Australians and their partners living up in Vancouver, and they said they went to the Canadian Rockies to 3D scan the rocks. I'm like, what? There's no gameplay, no game engine, and you're 3D scanning the rocks. So why? I said, "Oh, this game will have the best looking rocks in any game, Clarence." I'm like, who cares about rocks? You have rocks in their head, but I was wrong, because they launched the game on June 2014. June 28th, and that was the week that the Malaysian airline disappeared. And I thought, oh my God, this game is about a plane crash and the plane just disappeared, right? I mean, but they sold, I think they sold like $2.5 million overnight, and at $15 a pop. And the deal that we had on the revenue share was that, essentially, let's say we put 100 grand in. The first 100 grand they make from Steam, the investors take back. The next 100 grand they make, we take 50%, and after that we take a small percentage. So it rewards them as the game gets better. But the community, right? The people that love the game, when the game was released, it was alpha version, sold for $15, on Steam, full of bugs. Like you build a cabin, it will float, and you couldn't save the game, so you could spend all your time collecting all this stuff, and then the game crashed or you died, and that's it. You can't save the game. It was frustrating, right? But people loved the game so much. Members of the community hacked the game and fix the bugs. Then they put it back on Steam, but then Steam don't allow games that are hacked to be put on, so they ban them. But those guys got hired. But what I'm trying to show you is that the crowd that loved the game became a community that wanted to support the game in any way they could. Yeah. And this is the same with OpenExO, isn't it? We have people with so many varied skills, and you can always reach out, and somebody would be able to basically point you in the right direction, if not help you directly themselves. And that's why I feel it's such a powerful attribute.
Absolutely, 100%. Sudhir here has also just asked a question saying, "Hi Clarence, what are your thoughts on some entrepreneurial education institutes coming out of India? Any plans on collaboration between these and EXO?"
I think that's an answer that maybe, Kevin, you're a better place, right, to talk about. But I think there were plans. I think we have you have been to India and you ran some seminars there. So maybe I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Sudhir. So we're really trying to see the community in India grow in a way that really makes an impact. And we have a number of community members now that are in the sort of entrepreneurial education type space, whether they are incubators or linked to business schools. And so hopefully this year we're going to definitely see more of that happening. I mean, the EXO model, and I'm sure Clarence you would agree, really fits no matter what organization. Actually, if you're a government, if you're a non-profit, and I know you don't want to be everything to everyone if you're starting a startup, but what we must remember is that when you look at an organization, every organization can leverage exponential attributes. That's definitely for sure.
Just as a side, Sudhir is an old colleague of mine at the university, and he's like the foremost expert in the gaming industry. So we're working on a potential project on perhaps turning a casino in Nepal near where Buddha was born into a charitable organization. So pray, play, and change the world for the better. Anyway,
that's amazing. So, I mean, Clarence, as we end off here, this conversation has been really great. What would you really wish, people who are just learning about EXO and the EXO community, what do you really wish that they take away from that?
I think they should basically grasp the whole MTP of what we're trying to do, right? Transforming the world for a better future. I mean, that's a very, very powerful statement. They have to share that view, because it's not a get rich quick scheme, right? You're going to come in here and take the course, and it's bigger than that. That I think the money making side is basically the side effect, right? If you like, it is not the goal. If you think it's the goal, then I think it might not be the right community for you to look at, right? And I think that it's the people that you meet that makes the big difference, about the whole EXO movement, and I'm very grateful to Salim and all of you guys on progressing and pushing that and engaging the community. Right, that's the next part. You got a community in the crowd, but how do you engage them? That's very, very important, and you're doing a great job, Kevin. And everybody else that in part of the ecosystem. We just got to make sure that the message is clear of what our MTP is and where we are heading, right? And I think take the either read the first book or listen to Salim's talk, or any of our talks that we have done on EXO stuff. Reach out to the community member, talk to them about it. Like I noticed some of your future speaker like Sophie Krantz. I met her once at Canberra and convinced her that this is something she should be doing, and now she's a very active member. That's amazing. Yeah. So do evangelize it, share your experiences, why you are in the community, and what you put in is what you get out of it. And it's part of my MTPs, sharing the knowledge, and I'm sharing the OpenExO story, and I hope that you would progress on and make this truly an EXO decade.
Absolutely. Clarence, always a pleasure to speak to you. It'll be great to meet up with you again sometime soon. Yes. But all the best there on the Gold Coast or the Sunshine Coast. Which one is it? Gold Coast?
Gold Coast. Gold Coast.
Yeah. All the best there on the Gold Coast, and we'll catch you again soon.
All right, and make sure you wash your hands. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Cheers, right. Clarence.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Always a pleasure speaking to Clarence. He is amazing, such a diverse knowledge. So thank you for joining. Next week, we have Sahar and Simon. It's going to be very interesting, so do join us next week. Really enjoy this. Everybody have a fantastic day, evening, morning, wherever you are.